Benno has a strange disease. Falling asleep all the time. He falls asleep when he runs. He even fell asleep at the wheel. Benno is a thief and a gangster. Even a child's bread will be stolen. Finally, he's having trouble sleeping. The doctor said he was going to die. Lifespans range from a few days to months. And he fell asleep again. Clingy kitty, warm tea. This is what life is supposed to be, but it's the cancer ward. He had a neighbor, Andi. He wants to be a famous pianist. But he's got pulmonary fibrosis. Only a quarter of it. Bugged about it. 8 followers, 4 dead. The rest are doctors. This hospital is full of people who don't have long to live. The old man's last wish was to smoke a cigarette. The doctor told Andi. He may not make it to the lungs. And he's been waiting 3 years. In despair, he went to the roof to record the last video. Prepare to jump. Benno, the optimist, is here. Andi was so warm with a blanket. And Benno fell asleep again. That day he found a lot of deliveries. All bought with credit by people who are about to die. You don't have to pay me back when you're dead. He woke Andi from his sleep. Trying to use his credit to do something no one else would dare. Live the coolest day ever. They went to the bank first. But Andi couldn't live without his mask, and he failed. But then Benno found out that a lot of things are 0 down payment. So they went on a shopping spree. And went to the black market. Even the wedding ring. As long as it's worth the money. And he's getting bolder. Rented a car and drove it to Benno's friends. They eventually came up with 140,000 euros. First, a sports car, a tour. And the videos are getting more likes. Andi, who didn't have a license, tried to drive. And got stuck in the middle of the road in front of everyone. It's embarrassing. Back at the hospital. Watching the video go viral, he couldn't be happier. And Benno went to his ex-wife's house. He wants to see his daughter. But she told him, "My ex-wife is getting ready to have her wedding in Africa." He even let out a vicious dog to bite. Benno wants to split the money and get out of the hospital. But Andi wanted to go with him. He pulled the heavy oxygen bottle out first. All that's left is how to get the medicine. Benno wooed the nurses with his virtuosity, while Andi sneaked in to get the medicine. They then point to a random spot at the airport. The first stop is the hot sun and the beach. They didn't forget to make a video. Sure enough, their pre-death travel video went viral. And talked to 2 women. To be friends. Benno drives a used car, ready to move on. In the busy marketplace. Against Andi's advice, he bought African food. And then I threw up and had diarrhea. At night, Andi was gasping for air, afraid he was going to die. Benno immediately brought him here and took the oxygen tank. Let him experience fear once and for all. Andi crawled across. Benno encouraged him, saying, "What's the worst you can do? The worst thing you can do is fall. All that matters is what you do before you die." It turned out that he was overexcited. Jumping around, falling asleep again. Benno almost saw God early. Andi had him on a leash. The 2 of them stayed up all night. It wasn't until dawn that the workers found him. Andi needs to go to the bathroom on this trip. Well, there's no one out there, so just squat. But surprise, a lion turned on him. But luckily for him, he's here to use the bathroom. Andi, on the other hand, was thrilled. He thinks he's fearless. He even threw them away. Came to the gas station, and he started uploading videos. 100,000 likes so far. He's a coward and he wants to be a hero. Good thing Benno came forward so quickly. Lit the gasoline at his feet with a cigarette butt. Drive away. But there's an African kid in the car. They had no choice but to take him with them. And that's when Andi found out. This isn't about Benno having the best day with him. That's just using him to get to his ex-wife. He pulled out a bunch of money at the wedding. Tell the ex-wife he is rich now. The ex-wife was even sadder. He had no idea why she wanted the divorce. Because of his lack of ambition and sense of responsibility. Two people talking out in the open. And they woke up to find the car was stolen by that African kid. The two men trudged along the highway. Luckily, there was a car. They came to a mountain. Ready to commit suicide. Not sure which day of the trip was the best, though. But this must be the most exciting day. Benno pulled a ready gun on Andi. With the sound of a gunshot. He just tried. Andi almost shit his pants. And then Benno wanted it again. And Andi said, "You couldn't get me dirty." While the two of them were having second thoughts. The beeper rings. It's the hospital calling him. Which means he found the right lung. No need to die. At this point, Benno thinks it could be a police trap for swindling them out of 140,000 euros to travel. But Andi thought he was jealous he didn't have to die. They didn't end well. Andi was on a plane home. Then he saw the doctor and was very excited, but it was a little awkward. Because there's no suitable lung source, the doctor just wanted to let Benno know that his scans were wrong. The Benno of this time. To see the daughter fall asleep as suddenly as she do. He immediately went to his ex-wife's house and told them. The daughter may have the same disease as herself. We need to treat him quickly, but the wife says it's just narcolepsy, and it's not his film. Benno, excited and falling asleep again. The wife tells Benno he's not going to die. But he thought of Andi and hurried back immediately. The nurse told him that Andi's lungs had become infected. Benno slipped into the room, avoiding the police, took him up to the roof to watch the sunrise. Andi knew he wouldn't last long, and over the past few days, he has found the true meaning of life. He thought he had made the only and most sincere friend. The only thing that matters before you die is who you're with. What kind of things? And so, leaning against Benno, he left quietly, smiling. Benno was charged with fraud. The lawyers used the hospital fiasco to get him off. But he said, "This misdiagnosis was the best thing that ever happened to me." The topic of death is always too weighty, but he'll come around. The day you leave doesn't matter. Death is not to be feared. Before the time is good, we should cherish the present.